All right. All right.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You look fancy.
Oh, thanks. I've been running around all day.
Oh, good. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I'm live.
Oh.
Okay. Probably go back to it.
Yeah. Okay, well, I just wanted to drop this out.
Oh, thank you so much for
Merry
thinking
Christmas.
of us. Yeah. Are you in town for the holiday?
No, I think I'm going back to work for 16 days on Thursday. It's been crazy.
You can tell me later.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, girl. Good to
Bye.
see you. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. My good friend just walked in the door and gave me some really nice baked goods. Ooh, Christmas time. Yeah, buddy. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Glad you're here. Sorry, there was a little delay there. Welcome. It is Tuesday night webinar night, and we're going to be talking about Kick the Sick, and we're going to be talking about what we can do to help your family thrive through this holiday season and into the new year. It's a lot of stuff floating around out there. A lot of kids have fevers and they're sick and they have different things going on. So we want to help you guys thrive and be the best that you can, and so forth and so on, like we do here at Taylor Sport Chiropractic and Wellness. All right. Let's see. A couple of quick house cleaning things. We're open regular hours this week. Next week, I'll actually be open Monday morning from about 8 a.m. to noon. So if anyone is looking to get in, please feel free to give the office a call and we'll get you on the schedule. And then we'll have regular hours on Thursday and Friday morning. And then half day New Year's Eve, closed New Year's Day, and then regular hours from there. And we're actually going to be implementing some new hours. So we're going to have Wednesday evening hours. We'll be closed on Tuesdays. But anyway, some of that stuff will be coming out. So just a couple quick little house cleaning things, house tip things. And I guess we'll just take off from there. So like I've done in the past with some of these longer ones, me and Bob here, we're going to let this go for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And like I said, we're going to be talking about what it means to be sick. We all know what it means. We all know what it feels like. But we're going to be talking about what's going on in the immune system, why some of these symptoms are good. Having a fever is not necessarily a bad thing. Having a cough isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sore throat, where is it coming from? We'll be talking about allergies a little bit. So these are some of the topics I want to cover. Some myth busting that we're also going to be doing, and we'll be on for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in that timeline. Okay? Awesome. I hope everyone's doing awesome. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Okay? And let's see. Here we go. I have my notes. I have a lot of notes today, you guys. I have just notes and notes and notes, so it should be pretty good. Hey, Randy, how's it going? Good to see you. And Elena's out there too. Awesome. And I have someone over here on Instagram. How are you guys? All right. Good deal. So like I said, I want to help all the kids and the families out there be as healthy as possible. And yes, chiropractic and the nervous system can play a huge role with some of this stuff. It's happening. A lot of people are out there are sick, right? And like I said, a couple of things, the myths that we want to bust is that that there's a sick season, right? There's really no such thing. The flu is here all year round. Other bugs are here all year round. Hi, Kale. So all this stuff is here all year round, right? So there really isn't a such thing as a such thing. Is that good English? as a sick season, although we tend to fall into these categories. And what tends to happen is that we're all inside, we've got weather changes, there's different things going on, and that's what tends to cause all this congestion and drainage and sometimes little fevers and different things that pop up. The kids have been in school, so they're touching everything and so forth and so on. But I want to talk about how the nervous system and the immune system play into that, and how our stress levels also play into that, okay? The other thing is there's a myth out there that healthy families don't get sick. Healthy families don't get sick, and I don't know that that's necessarily the case. A lot of the kiddos that we see coming into the office, after we do the history, we do the exam, we run the scans, and they'll say, well, little Johnny never gets sick. What do you mean he has XYZ? And a lot of times what's going on is that their nervous system is in such overdrive, it's in such fight or flight, that their immune system is being suppressed, and they're not actually having the signs of being sick because their body doesn't know what to do with it. So that's not necessarily always a good thing, right? So healthy families don't get sick. That's one of the myths. And a sick season, the flu season. I know that there's a lot of moms and dads out there, and they're searching and they're looking for something different, and they're trying a lot of different stuff. So I hope that you listen in tonight. I hope that you go back, you watch this again, because something like I have to offer and something like chiropractic may be just the thing that you're looking for, or maybe somebody you know might be looking for something like this, okay? So we want to put that out there too. I have a weird shadow on the other, let's see. That's a little better. I still have a weird shadow. Anyways, yeah, I know. I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. That's why I get along with the kids so good. We're going to be talking about some of the nuts and bolts of this and the science and the immunology. We're just going to get into it a little bit because I know that it can be a little bit much. Things that we're going to be talking about: sore throats, coughs, allergies, and keeping you and your family thriving. So let's talk about a little bit, what is illness? Hey, Rosemary, good to see you, girl. What is illness? It's healthy to be sick at times. I want to put that out there. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, if you have a healthy immune system and you have a healthy nervous system, you're going to show the signs. You're going to express sickness. You might get a cough. You might get a runny nose. You might have a little fever spiked. That's good. Those are signs of a healthy nervous system, and that your body is sending out the troops to fight what is getting in. It's to fight the invaders. So I want you to think about your body like an old school castle, and they have all the different things. They've got the archery guys with the arrows and the fire arrows, and they've got those big things they pull back and throw the rocks over, and they're doing all these things, the little ninja guys and all that fighting. If a castle doesn't know that it's being invaded because it's too busy doing something else, it's not going to send out its defenses, right? So when we are in such overdrive, when our foot is on the gas pedal, when our sympathetic nervous system is high, and our immune system is being suppressed, our body and our mind are so busy doing other things that it doesn't always know that it's being invaded. It doesn't always know that there's germs coming in, so it doesn't send out the troops, right? That's not a good thing. It's healthy to have an expression of sickness. On the flip side of that is the suppression. So when we're in sympathetics, then we actually have a suppression of our immune system, and that's not good, all right? Ah, thank you, Elena. A trebuchet. What is that? I can't even say that word. The big rock throwers. Good job. I'm going to Google that when we're done. So when moms and dads come in and say he or she is never sick, that may not always be a good thing, right? So keep that in the back of our mind. In our society in general, we always want to suppress sickness. That's what we want to do. We want to suppress illness. We always have like a cough syrup or NSAIDs or antibiotics and all these different things that suppress the immune system and don't actually let our body fight the germs. And we need to let our body fight the germs. That's how we actually get stronger. If you never do push-ups, you'll never be able to do a push-up, right? If you don't go to the gym and do these things and train, then you're never going to get good at them. It's the same thing with our body. If we are exposed to some germs from time to time, it's actually a very good thing. And that way our body knows what to do. So these are really important things so that we can make sure that we are trebuchet. Is that right, Elena? Okay. Hey, Dan, I just see that you joined, Dan DeWolf. So all of these things are suppression, and we do other things. You know, we don't let our kids get dirty. We don't let them play in the dirt, or we've got hand sanitizer all over the place, right? Or there's a lot of different things that we do that we think we're doing well for our system, but really in the long run, we could actually be harming ourselves a bit, right? So we want to be exposed to germs. We want to have a little bit of a runny nose sometimes and some of these types of things. So like I said, good, healthy. There's nothing to be afraid of, right? We need them, like we were just talking about. And if we're never exposed to them, then our body's going to have a suppressed system. And it doesn't do anything until it's too big. So what tends to happen is our body can't fight off those little things, and then we'll work on it. Okay, Elena, we'll practice that on Thursday in the office. And then when something big comes along, we're not ready, and then we can get really, really sick. All right, so that's what tends to happen, and we don't want that. We see that in the office a lot. Like we said, we talked about it being like a little bit of a training process. So when we're being trained, when we're being exposed to germs, when our families do get sick, we want it to run its course a little bit quicker. We want to not be sick as often. We want our body to respond better, and we want it to be able to kick it for a longer period of time. So frequency, duration, and severity is severely impacted when we're not exposed to germs on a regular basis, and we're doing a lot of these things to suppress our natural ways to doing things. Remember, the body will heal itself. The body is self-healing. It knows what to do when we allow it to do it. And when we do the over-the-counters and the antibiotics and so forth, we're not letting our body do that. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that antibiotics are bad. They have saved millions of lives, and they're very awesome in the appropriate situations. It's just, unfortunately, they're not always used appropriately, and they can be really overused, right? So we just want to be really, really careful with that. So tonight, what I want you to know about is that there is a healthy response to this, and we want to show you what that is. We want to show you what a healthy response is. So the immune system and the nervous system, our sympathetic system and our parasympathetic system, like I was saying, they're intimately intertwined, okay? So I'm going to write on the board. Hopefully you guys can see this. So it's like a big teeter-totter, right? If you think of your immune system and our immune system and our nervous system, we can think of them like a teeter-totter. So when one goes down, the other side goes up, right? Or I should do it this way, like the picture. So if we are in fight or flight, when we're in our sympathetics, when we're being chased by the bear, that's over here. So we'll say that's gone up. These are our sympathetics, right? It's fight or flight, right? We are totally in the mode of saving our life, and that's good. We want that. If the bear comes along, if a mugger comes along, if we're in a situation where we need to defend ourselves and protect ourselves, then our immune system, our digestive system, a lot of these healing systems, they're actually suppressed. So our sympathetic system could be thought of as a suppression system. Suppressed. Right? And we can't fight stuff off. Oh, I'm going to sit in the way of it. There. So we can't fight stuff off, right? So that goes up. Well, the other side is going to go down, like I said. So over here by Bob has on his necklace tonight. Over here, our parasympathetic goes down, right? That's our rest and digest. That's where a lot of healing takes place, right? So what else is going to go down? Our immune system is going to be suppressed. Our digestive system is going to be depressed, right? So we can think of this as, what do I do with my notes? Expressive. So this is expressive, but our expression of these things are being dampened because we're being chased by the bear. Now, again, this is normal. You guys have heard me talk. Everybody's heard me talk knows that this is hugely normal, and we're supposed to have this. So the bear comes along, the mugger comes along, a bad driver comes along down the road. We're in some sort of stressful situation. Our body and our mind goes into protective mode. Our nervous system goes into our sympathetic patterning. It's a good thing. It's supposed to go very, very high, but for a very short amount of time. And then we should be able to go right back to normal, right? That's not what happens in our society. We go way, way up, and then we might come a little bit down, and then we just kind of hang out there. So we get this long-term suppression of our immune system, and then we can't fight off bugs and disease and different things that attack us, because now we're so busy because we think we're being chased by the bear all the time to fight off a lot of this other stuff, okay? So like I said, sympathetic, fight or flight, suppression, things get underactive, and we let our guard down. That's when we can get sick, and sometimes we can get overridingly sick, right? Parasympathetic is good. That's our rest and digest and immune. That's expressive, right? We want our body to express its natural tendencies. And we see that when we get adjusted on a regular basis. So when we're getting adjusted on a regular basis, we actually see that we get more expressive, and our parasympathetic nervous system actually kicks in, okay? Let's see what else. We're on page 3 of the notes now, so we're moving along. Examples. People come in not feeling quite right. So this is interesting. People will come in and they're like, yeah, doc, I'm not feeling quite right. Things are a little weird, whatever. And after they get an adjustment, they'll actually feel warm, right? Sometimes they'll spike a fever. Sometimes they get tired or sleepy. And actually what's happening here is we've now flipped that switch, right? We've flipped the teeter-totter to go the other way so that our parasympathetic goes up. And now we can start to express what's happening in our body. So sometimes we will get that. The other thing that happens with some of the kiddos that come in is if they've been having issues, you'll actually see some of their issues get worse at first before it gets better. So we go into a very high expressive time or tone. And then as the adjustments continue, as they move through their care plan, we see things even out. And that's a good thing. We've had some kids come in lately that have been ill. We had one little girl come in about 2 weeks ago. She'd had a fever for 4 or 5 days. She was constipated. This beautiful little girl was just having a really hard time. Brought her in, evaluated her, saw what was going on. We adjusted her. We did some really mild adjustments on her upper neck. Like I said, I'm a chiropractor, and we're gonna kick that system in first and foremost through upper cervical adjustment. So we did a really mild adjustment on her neck. We adjusted her T-spine. Mom had said, that she hadn't been going to the bathroom, so we did some lumbar and low back and sacral adjustments on her. I also adjusted her ears and her sinuses, right? So we kind of just kicked up this whole system and got it rolling for her. And then Mom called me a few hours later, and her fever had broke, and she'd gone to the bathroom, and she was wanting to eat again, and so forth. So we got just kind of a really quick result with her. It was really awesome. It was really beautiful, really awesome family. So getting the kids in here when they're sick is super important. And we've had several people cancel this week because their kids are sick. And I'm like, no, bring them in. Let's get them adjusted. Let's boost that immune system. Let's bring that sympathetic system down. Let's get their bodies ready to heal, because the body will heal itself if it knows what to do, right? All right, so here we go. Let's move into some other things. So let's talk about coughs. So now, like I said, we're going to talk about some specific things. So I'm going to talk about coughs. I'm going to talk about sore throats and fevers. and a little bit about allergies, okay, as we're moving through. And again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them for you, okay? So coughs. Our weather has been crazy, super foggy and cool this morning and just wet. Beautiful and dry over the weekend, a really nice weekend. So just kind of all over the place. So we tend to get this, gunk that kind of builds up in our heads. And so we tend to get a little bit of a cough with that. And that's good. That's a good thing. We're expressing our natural way of expelling things from the body. When we cough, it's the way for our body to get stuff out. Same thing with vomiting, right? Just to bring it from a different angle, is that if you eat something bad, if you have something funky going on and your body needs to get it out of your system, out of your gut, you're going to vomit. It's a very normal thing, right? Well, not normal, but normal for sickness, right? Diarrhea, same thing, right? So these types of things are normal and they're in place for our body to deal with these things. Right now we're just talking about coughs. In our area, we see a lot of dust and mold, especially mold. There's still houses out there, still being gutted, still being taken care of. People are maybe just now getting back in their houses after Harvey, still finding things that are going on. So there's a lot of mold in the air. And again, we're going to cough this stuff out. The other thing is it's going to be a response to drainage. So if you have drainage and it's draining down in the back of your throat, you're going to cough a little bit. That's that post-nasal drip cough that we're going to have. Again, a lot of times very normal. What we do is we want to help support that. We want to help the body. We want the body to be able to get these things out. And we want to help clear the irritations. So the other thing is that a lot of times people will get these coughs and the kiddos that are coming in because they're congested. Their ears may be filled up. So we see this with the ear infection kiddos. But a lot of times it's just this build up and it can't move along through the process. And we want the mucus and the buildup in the ears that are full, we want them to be able to drain properly. Again, the first thing that we're going to do here in the office is we're going to adjust that upper C-spine. We're going to add movement and motion back into the system so that everything can move along and drain appropriately. It does wonders. Again, the upper neck, the sinuses, and the ears are a really, really big deal. It also helps with lymph drainage. We can kind of get in and work some of this type of stuff, do these things, get all of that stuff moving. The other thing that you may want to do, moms and dads, is you may want to look into essential oils and a diffuser and get some of those things moving in your home to help open up the respiratory tract, help clear the throat so that they can be as comfortable as possible. That's what we want for these kiddos. We want them to be comfortable. We want them to know that they're okay. Mom and dad are there. You're taking care of them, but at the same time, letting the body do what the body knows how to do. So you can use it, like I said, the humidifiers, the oils, and have them be comfortable. I've got a great lady that does essential oils. If anyone needs her name, please get with me and I'll do that for you. I am not a super expert at essential oils, but I know that there are some key ones that we can use in these instances. And then the other thing, moms come in and they're concerned, does my baby have croup? Does my kiddo have whooping cough? These types of things that are going around. You got to listen to your mom gut. Moms know things. They know when their kiddos aren't quite right, and that when things are over the edge or they're going to need something a little extra. And I always tell the moms, listen to your gut on this stuff because it's super important. You know your kids better than anyone else, and you need to keep an eye on that and listen to your gut. And if you feel like they need more, then they need more. And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later, okay? Let's see. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about a wet cough versus a dry cough. One isn't necessarily any better than the other or less important. The wet cough is a lot of mucus buildup, and there's actually dehydration. So when we're dehydrated, we actually can get more mucus, and it makes us cough more. And the fever, a lot of times the fever will come along with it, and it will burn off the water that's in our system, burns off the fluids. So we need to make sure that they are getting plenty of hydration, and we need to rehydrate them, make sure that they're eating within their comfort zone and so forth. So that's where that comes from. The dry cough might be a little less good, if you will, right? It's not as problematic. It's that dry, hacky cough, and actually it's just kind of hard to listen to a lot of times, you know, around our houses and so forth. So we want to keep up with that, and that sometimes with the dry cough, it's just more dry irritation that's going on, right? So wet cough, lots of mucus, they're dehydrated, so let's hydrate the heck out of these kiddos. Dry cough, not quite as problematic, but there's probably more irritation, and sometimes it's just more of, it's hard to listen to, like I was saying. We try not to suppress the cough, right? So we don't want to do cough suppressants and cough syrups. That's going to coat the whole system. It lessens the irritation, but it also lessens the cough so that the body can't expel out whatever it is that's bothering it, right? And we don't want that. We want the body to be able to cough it out. And what can happen when we suppress this stuff is that the germs or the irritant, whatever it is, can actually go deeper into the system and cause more problems in the long run. And we don't want to do that, right? And then something to think about is pay attention to how your kiddos are coughing. You know, do they have a big, or are they having a hard time coughing? That's something that you're going to want to be concerned about, is paying attention to the posture that they take or how they're taking in their breaths when they're coughing. Sometimes the cough is initiated when we breathe in. Sometimes it's more of a cough because they can't get it out. So we want to pay attention to this. If it's one of the issues where they can't get it out, that would be a little bit more concerning. The other thing, like I said, is when they breathe in, are they kind of caving forward? If they're having trouble getting a big breath, then we need to be aware of that. And moms, pay attention, because that may be something that you need to be a little bit more concerned about. Okay? All right. Good deal. Let's see. Anybody has any questions, don't forget, you can throw them in there. Okay. So sore throat, right? Lots of sore throats going around right now. So there tends to be a little bit of a progression here. So we get congested, stuff isn't draining quite right, or we get the postnasal drip. Then we get a cough, right? And then our throat gets irritated due to the cough and or the postnasal drip, and now we have a sore throat, right? So there tends to be a progression here. A lot of times a sore throat is from inflammation, and like I said, it can be caused by the postnasal drip. They're going to get a fever, maybe a stomach ache with it, right? Again, from the drainage. And then two things that you want to look for with the sore throat is there a fever, and can they eat? Like, do they have the ability to swallow, right? A lot of times when we get a really sore throat, we just can't, we don't swallow. It hurts, right? It just plain old hurts. I can remember being a kid and having tonsillitis and some of these types of things, and it was really, really hard to eat. I got a lot of ear infections as a kid, a lot of tonsillitis. I still have my tonsils and my adenoids. I never had ear tubes. I had a lot of antibiotics, though, as a kid and so forth. So some of you that are on here know my history, too. You know, that plays into stuff that I ran into later, ADD, ADHD, behavior issues, some of that kind of stuff. So a lot of the times with the sore throat, they ask if it's strep, right? Does my kid have strep? They go in, they do the test. Strep is weird. Sometimes it's misdiagnosed, right? And if it is, it can be nasty. If they miss it and it is strep, it can turn into something nasty. So we need to make sure that we're getting them tested. Moms, again, listen to your mom gut. If you feel like that they need that, then go get them tested, find out. It's interesting. Sometimes when they test it in the office, it'll come back negative, but then when they send it off to the lab a couple days later, it comes back positive. So make sure that you're following up with your pediatrician or whomever did the strep test. Make sure that we're getting this stuff taken care of, right? If none of that's going on, that's even better. So what we can do is we can clean up their diet. We can get, make sure that they're eating well, not too much candy and sugar and stuff like that. What's interesting about this is that when we're eating a lot of junk, especially this time of year, we tend to get that weird in the back of our throat, and that's a reaction. That's a reaction from the sugar and a lot of carbohydrates, the late nights, all these types of things. Moms and dads, you may have noticed that you might be eating more goodies at the office, brownies and different things, like this cake bread that my friend brought me today. And then someone else brought me a peanut brittle today. I'm probably not going to feel very good tomorrow. I'm going to have that weird yuckiness in the back of my throat. So cleaning up the diet, increasing the water again, lots of hydration. These types of foods tend to dehydrate us, right? And then just cleaning up our environment as well, making sure that we're in a nice, clean environment. And then, let's see, the chronicity of it. How long is it lasting? Remember, if this stuff is lasting a long time, if the sore throat is lasting what seems like a prolonged amount of time, and they've just got this general malaise and fatigue and so forth, it may have something more going on. Call your doc, get them into your chiro, make sure you're getting them adjusted, keeping them hydrated, they're getting enough sleep, all this kinds of stuff. Let's see, again, and then the nutrition, okay? The 3 T's are always toxins, traumas, and thoughts. And in this particular case, the toxins play a big role, and a lot of times it's the food. It's the food for this specifically this time of year, with all the sweets and cakes and cookies and stuff like that. Well, fever is the next thing. Okay, so a lot of times this stuff will go along, and then as your body is trying to fight it, you may spike a fever. The kiddos may spike a fever, and sometimes that's okay. And that's there's no number that we can put on this. I can't say yes, at this temperature is when it's bad, or for this person when the temperature it's bad, right? It doesn't really work that way. Again, it's about our kiddos. Like, a dad will get a fever, a low-grade fever, and he thinks he's dying, right? I mean, he'll be like, oh, I'm dying. Mom has a fever of 103, and she's going to the grocery store to make dinner. So you've got this big relative spectrum of when people are sick and how they're reacting to it, right? So you just have to know your family and know your kiddos so that we can make a good judgment on what's going on. You know your kids, right? You know your kiddos. You know the signs. Are they making eye contact? Are they eating? Are they drinking enough water? Are they lethargic? Do they not want to do the things they normally would do? They don't want to go play soccer, or they don't want to play video games, or they don't care whether they're on their iPad, or whatever it is that they enjoy doing. If they don't want to do it, then we know that there's more going on here. So just being aware of these things. Also, their breathing, right? Is their breathing a little labored? Are they breathing like from their chest and kind of shallow, or are they breathing through their belly? So just, again, being aware of a lot of these things and paying close attention, moms and dads. I know that you've got this, and I know that you know that the body will heal itself. Yes, I do. Man colds. They're dying. They're dying with just a little fever. Sometimes what we'll see is we'll see a spike in the fever, and it jumps up very quickly, right? Actually, that's not a bad thing again. It just shows that the body is jumping into action, and it's fighting the germs, right? So it's not always something to be worried about. It shows us that the body is working, and again, we're expressing a healthy immune system. And it's tackling the issue quickly, and that's what we want. And sometimes you'll see this, they might get flushed, they're going to shiver, maybe get a headache with it, right? These types of things. Again, it's okay. But the issue, the spike and then it coming down, that's not as big a deal as a long-term low-grade fever. That might be when moms and dads, we want to have a little bit more concern about what's going on with our kiddos, because their body is trying to fight it over a long period of time instead of being able to take care of it more quickly. And I know that that's a relative term, but that's how we want to think about it a little bit. The folks that have like those weird low-grade fevers that pop up every now and then, their system isn't working as well as the person that spikes it, fights it, and then it comes back down to normal, and maybe they're not feeling well, but you can see that they're coming out of it, right? So we don't want that. So again, we want to comfort them, we want to hydrate them, you can use the essential oils and so forth. We want to trust our kids. We want to trust our kids, what they're telling us and what we're seeing in them. Again, and knowing our kids and our family really well so that we know when more action needs to be taken, right? And be able to work out from there. Are they eating or not eating? That's a big one with the kiddos. That's a big one with me too. If I'm not eating, you know that I'm pretty sick, right? You know something's going on. And those of you who know me know I like to eat. So that's a really big deal. I know that parents get, they get scared and they don't want to let it, let that fever rise and so forth. But again, it's natural. It's a perfectly normal, expressive response with our immune system, right? So let's let it do what it needs to do. All right, let's move on. So allergies, I want to just talk about this a little bit because we see it all the time. We see it in our area around here, what's going on with allergies and people just kind of being sick all the time, and some of these long-term, that's when we get an allergy may be better explained as some of these symptoms, but prolonged, right? And now we don't even have an allergy season anymore. Like people just have allergies all year round, right? So it's a constant immune struggle is what we might call an allergy, like I was just saying. What's interesting about this is the folks that come in that have a lot of long-term allergies is that what we find on the history and the exam and the scans and so forth is that their body has been in a state of protection and overwhelm for a long period of time. So again, you guys, this sympathetic nervous system is just on high, right? They're in that increased fight or flight, and believe it or not, their system is suppressed, and that's why they're constantly fighting some of this stuff, right? I know that it sounds a little odd and off, but that's what's happening in there. That the body can't or it doesn't know how to go into high gear and raise the flag and get the invaders taken care of because it's so busy in protective mode. And this is where we talk about our kids not being adaptive and resistant. Not resistant, but resilient. Adaptive and resilient. That's what we want, right? It's a long-term imbalance, like we talked about with the teeter-totter. And what's interesting about this, again, is that the adjustments calm this system. The adjustments to the upper C-spine calm the sympathetic, shut it down. It's not a good way to put it. It's actually a balancing act, like the teeter-totter, because we want a healthy sympathetic response. We just don't want it to override the system, okay? And it all goes back to the nervous system, and cleaning up our environment helps. A lot of people say that, well, we're cleaning up our environment, and we're getting new dish soap, and we're getting new soap in the house, and we're not using certain cleaners and all this, and all of that is wonderful. I've got a great lady that sells all those natural products. If you guys need to be hooked up with her, I'll be more than happy to give you that information because that's a super important part of the puzzle. Remember, toxins, thoughts, and traumas. We clean up those toxins in our environment, and you're going to have an overwhelming effect on our system. But the issue is this. It doesn't fix the sympathetics. These guys are still in overdrive. And y'all are right. You take out the toxins, and you're going to get some relief, but your system is still going to be in overdrive. and we need to do things to bring that system down. And again, the chiropractic adjustments do awesome with that. And there's other things too, meditation, exercise, getting enough sleep, all of this. But if you have a misalignment in the spine, if you have subluxation and it's causing these sympathetics to go crazy, nothing's going to fix that except an adjustment, right? It's a piece of the puzzle. It's a piece of the puzzle, y'all. And it takes time, right? It takes time. So like I said earlier, there's no flu or sick season anymore. And so that's kind of it's a nice myth, right, that we all want to talk about. And so the couple last things that I want to talk about are some of the signs that we see in our kids that they may need a little extra care. These are the moody, cranky, sick kiddos that tend to be stuck. They're stuck in this overdrive. They're stuck on stress, so forth and so on. Hey, and so what we might see in our kids that aren't feeling well, and adults, you probably see this in yourself too when you're not feeling really well. You may not be real emotionally stable, right? You're just cranky and you get irritated really easily. You will see that a lot with the kiddos. We'll see extreme exhaustion. They're just so tired. They're sleeping a lot. They're having a hard time waking up in the morning. Again, do they want to play, right? Are they wanting to play the normal games and do the things that they normally do in their life? Is there something that they really enjoy doing and they just don't want to go do it? We all know that. When we get sick like that, we don't want to do those things that we normally enjoy. With the little guys and girls, we're going to see them pull on their ear. Moms tell me that all the time, always pulling on his ear, or she's pulling on her ear, right? That tells us that something's going on in the ears. They may be drooling, right? They might rub the face or chew their hand, like one of these numbers. And in our middle schoolers and high schoolers, there may be a focus issue or a comprehension issue while doing homework, or they're overly frustrated. Right? They get overly flustered or frustrated at these tasks that are normally pretty good for them. And again, these are just all signs again that there's something going on here with the sympathetic nervous system, and it may be suppressing their immune system. Everything's tied together. Everything's tied together. The nervous system is here to observe and perceive our environment in all spectrums, and then it's going to decide on behavior and what needs to happen. So it's going to dictate all that, right? And if our nervous system isn't working properly, then we're going to see some of these other issues come up, especially this time of year in our sick season, which doesn't exist, but we tend to do that. What's interesting about this too is kids and families are really busy, right? So it's a very busy time of year right now. And I would suggest, if you can, I know it's difficult, but taking stuff off their plate. Let's give everyone a break. You know, the holidays are go, go, go. The kids are in school right up until, Thursday afternoon. Some kids get out Friday afternoon and it's go, go, go. And then maybe you're traveling and you've got holidays, and then we've got then the other holiday. This is a great time to take a little downtime and let everybody get a little rest. Maybe you don't need to go to piano lesson. Maybe you don't need to, go to that practice, whatever it is, volleyball or basketball or whatever it is. It's a great time to take a couple things off of our plate and allow our body and our mind and our nervous system to get a little bit more rest, right? And it gives us the opportunity when we're resting to allow our body to work, to allow it to heal itself and do what it naturally does, right? And it's such a beautiful thing, right? The human body and the way that we are able to live is such a huge thing. And there's families and kids out there that just don't have the ability to thrive because they're in this, our teeter-totter is off. Remember, our teeter-totter is off and our sympathetics are just through the roof, right? So we can deal with a lot of this stuff. And like I said, this stuff comes up with illness and sickness and even musculoskeletal issues and so forth. And I just want to tell you all that you don't have to be stuck. right? None of us do, adults or kids. None of us have to be stuck. We all have the answer to the opportunity. If anyone would like to reach out to me and ask me questions, please, please, please feel free to do so. I would love to answer any questions about kids or families, parents, whatever it is, anything that y'all may have going on. I would love to do that. And you know, if any of this resonates with you, again, please give us a call. We would be honored and thrilled and blessed to be able to help you, your family, and your kiddos. And I just want everyone to have as happy and thriving of and well holiday season as you possibly can, with Christmas and New Year's right around the corner, and then of course rolling right into 2019. We're all going to be up and rolling, and we're going to have a great 2019 as we all say goodbye to 2018. We're going to punch it in the throat over the next week or 10 days and just work out from there. So I hope this helps somebody. I hope there was some good information in here. Just a quick aside, I'm going to be doing another Perfect Storm ADD, ADHD talk on January 16th. It's going to be a live talk right here in my building, 1322 Space Park Drive. Anyone that's been watching my videos and seeing any of the things that I'm doing with the kids, coming to the talk is such a great way to dive deeper and learn more about how chiropractic can help this alphabet soup that a lot of kids are in the middle of right now. And we do call it the perfect storm. So if anyone is interested, on my Facebook page, there's already an event set up for January 16th. There's an Eventbrite page. It's $10. It's not a big deal. You can sign up, bring anyone you know. Everyone knows a kid with one of these issues. So everyone have a super awesome Christmas. I'm sending out tons of loving kindness to everyone. Thank you so much for everyone's support, and everyone have a great night. I love you too, Randy. Everybody take care. I'll talk to y'all later.